Guys, you're currently watching a clip from our weekly podcast, Never Onside. The full podcast is available in audio format on Spotify and in video format on YouTube. So go subscribe to us and press on the notifications. It helps us a lot. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Never Onside. Hi, this is Joseph, and joining me as usual is Mayur Chopulik. Hi, Mayur.
Hi, host. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. So we have a lot of things installed for our viewers today. So basically, this is the last international break before the World Cup, and this break is a welcome one for many of the teams as well because of the poor run they had, or because they didn't have time to set up their team in the preseason. So, without much of introduction, let's move on to the discussions. And first up, we have the Premier League matches, and this was the game week 8, and this showed three matches being postponed, right, because of
Yes.
the rail workers
Actually,
protest,
train
right?
mostly due to the Queen's passing away.
Passing
The
away,
police
yeah.
force was not available at certain games like the Chelsea game in London and Manchester game, which was against Leeds. So again, those derbies which generally can have some sparks between the fans, so they were called off. And Brighton again, similar situation. So those were the three games which
Yeah.
were called off.
So let's start off with the Nottingham Forest Fulham match. Also, not to miss out on Aston Villa as well, because I think this is their first win, I guess, and this must be a huge lift for Gerrard after the start that they have had. Did you watch the second match, the Nottingham Forest Fulham match?
Yeah, so the both games were on at the same time, and I had most of the assets from Fulham, so I preferred that game. It was a crazy game. To just to summarize it, there were chances for taking. Generally, we always knew Nottingham Forest would concede a lot of goals, but in this match they also showed they scored. They can score goals, and Fulham again showed their dominance against a promoted side. We could clearly see the difference in them, but at certain instances they were unlucky, couldn't finish it off, just a bad pass and everything, and things weren't in their favor. But yeah, in all, Fulham were able to get the victory. They went and scored two goals first, and then Nottingham scored one, and then eventually Fulham scored again. So it was a good exchange, but in all, a fun game. If you missed on it, do watch the highlights. Very fun and a high scoring game. So yeah.
I think Willian made his debut, right, in
Yes,
this
Willian made
match.
his debut. Yes.
Yeah, I think he was impressive. He did
Yes.
a lot of things. He tried creating a lot of things as well. But surprisingly, none of our FPL assets, Pereira or Mitrovic, returned any points. Surprised that I didn't watch the full match. I was surprised after the 2-3 results that none of the two players that I owned returned any points. So weird game.
Yes.
Yeah. So moving on to the City Wolves game. Again, Haaland scored, right?
Yes.
And De Bruyne assisted twice, I guess.
Yes, yes. So again, it's a common move. If you have been watching City games, De Bruyne going on the right, the ball being whipped in from the right hand side, and Haaland being in the center space. So that's just a routine goal for City, if we think. But to sum it up, this wasn't City's best performance, where like they were completely out of control. We could clearly see weren't playing usually the way they play, losing a lot of control. But yeah, then to just like against Dortmund, they were very poor, right? If you saw the game,
Yeah,
but they came out with two goals and won the game. Similarly, this was the same result. Not the best game. Lost a lot of control in the midfield, but yeah, came out with three goals and won the game easily.
yeah. Someone is at the door.
No, no, it's fine.
All right. So moving on to Newcastle Bournemouth match. It was a one all match, and surprisingly, Newcastle didn't come off with a win. And
Yes.
then the Spurs match was the blockbuster match of the weekend with the 6-2 result. And Leicester's woes continue. Their run of form is absolutely miserable, and you know the sack is incoming, right? You can feel it.
Yes.
Rogers
I,
is walking
yeah,
on
yeah.
thin ice.
I'm still surprised they had a 2 week window. Could have been a decent time to sack maybe Brendan Rodgers of the thing. But yeah, they're still keeping their faith in him. And as I said, as you mentioned, there is a shelf life for Rodgers' team. Generally, we have seen it in the
Mhm.
past. After two
Yeah,
or three seasons, it's a downfall for him. So yeah, the sack is
yeah.
on the
Yeah, we
horizon.
can't blame Rodgers for this one at least because he was not backed in the transfer window. And yeah, so I watched this match and it was a crazy match. So Tielemans scored first with a penalty, and I think Sanchez considered it, and then Harry Kane scored. So it was 1-1. Then Eric Dyer with a header from Perisic's corner, if I'm right, and then James Madison equalized again, and it was 2-2, and both the teams went into the dressing room at halftime into with the results 2-2. And in the second half, we saw an absolute domination from Spurs because Leicester were not in the game at all. And after the introduction of Heung-min Son, he absolutely blew them away. And we had a discussion last week about Son, and I said like this is exactly the kind of game in which Son would come in and score a hat trick or a brace, and that is exactly what happened. And he came in with vengeance, and especially for the fact that he was dropped for Richarlison, it really hurt his ego, I'm sure. And the way he celebrated surely showed what it meant. And even the way the players and the fans celebrated with him when he scored even the first goal, and by the time he scored the hat trick, the roof was off. And it was such a brilliant performance by Son coming in, and I think he scored the hat trick in around 13 minutes.
30 minutes.
So that is crazy, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure the discussion that we had about him being dropped, let's stop it there. And he has
Yes.
kicked the ball out of the park with that
And
hat trick.
the biggest change which we could see is the most of the struggling parts for Sun this season was when he and Perisic played together. So they couldn't
Yeah.
figure out each other and everything, which we
Mhm.
mentioned. And
Yeah.
again, in this hat trick which he scored, we knew Perisic was subbed off at 55 minutes, and then Son came in the 70th minute. So again, we could clearly see the space which they both occupy generally when they play together is the same. So we could clearly see how Son getting back his pace and everything, and he scored all the goals.
And the funny part is that Perisic came off the bench to celebrate and got a yellow card. That was hilarious. The FPL community were cursing him for that, for what he has done. Yeah, so Leicester in big trouble. And yeah, did you watch the Brentford Arsenal match?
Yes, yes. I was watching the Brentford Arsenal game. I sold most of my Arsenal assets, so I was very scared to watch that game. But it was a very routine game for Arsenal. No threat at all. It just felt like a training match more than a match.
Mhm.
There was no
Yeah.
threat at all. Arsenal was just playing in the just playing in the park or some kind of that thing. So
Mhm.
where there was no threat, nothing. They were easily able to pass the ball
Yeah.
and move the ball on. Yeah, so very
But
very routine win, and Arteta would be very happy.
something which we would not expect from a Brentford home match because Brentford would give any side a run for the money in such matches. But I was really surprised that Arsenal dominated the game even without Odegaard playing as well. And I think Martinelli
Vieira.
was impressive in the initial stages, even before Arsenal were scoring. And then I think Saliba scored a header from Saka's corner, and then Gabriel Jesus scored from Saka assist, which was kind of a dink ball across, and Jesus' movement was brilliant, and he nodded it in. And Fabio Vieira at the end, in the 49th minute, and the Saka assist. Yeah, so it was a good performance. Did you see anything to note from Vieira? Is he someone who is
So
he didn't catch the eye for me until the goal. Would you did you notice him in the match?
yeah, so the last Europa League game which they played before every game was cancelled before that. So Vieira was very good in that game, and definitely it was a confidence booster that he was able to play since due to Odegaard's injury. it's still early days for him, and he's still getting into the team. But he has a lot of potential, and he will definitely give Odegaard a run for his money in that number 10 spot. So definitely he's one to watch out for. Not the best game, in a way that where he catches his eye, but he did his job, passed the ball very well, kept the ball, saw those passes, and so yeah, so a good game and early days for him. So definitely will
Yeah,
many will be surprised by the way he plays.
yeah. Elsewhere, Everton just won over West Ham with a Neil Bupe goal and Iwobi assisted. And I think I watched the majority of this match, and Everton were really good in spells as well, and great win for Lampard, right?
Yes, great win for Lampard. The way he has turned Iwobi into a the mid
Very,
who,
yeah.
like, yeah, the way he plays, carries the ball, gets it back, passes the ball. So definitely the from his time in Arsenal, where he was used as a winger, if I'm not wrong, or on the uh, that part. But now the way he's playing under Lampard as a centre mid or number 8, definitely has got the right way to play, and definitely we can see the results here. Again, for West Ham, they have been very poor this season since the start of the season. So they need to get up and show everyone how they are. Hopefully,
They
they
had
can.
a couple of good signings, I think, but
Yes,
they have not performed well. But I would back Moyes to turn it around after the international break because he had gotten good players and he already had some good players. So let's wait for what he does. Yeah, moving on. What do we
before
have
we
next?
move on, before we
Yeah,
move on, again, if there is a common theme with Spurs and Arsenal, if you see the set piece, I just wanted to bring it on. So they have been scoring from set piece very regularly.
yeah.
And in the first or second part, if you remember, we mentioned it. Spurs have been scored 3 goals in their 30 corners attempted. So definitely, what a set piece specialist or a coach can bring to the table, we are clearly seeing this season, the way
Yeah.
Spurs and Arsenal are frequently scoring from corners. So something to
And
look
the
out for.
variation in set pieces is also something which is very notable with these two sides. Yeah,
Yes.
surprising against the Leicester side, who are really bad in defending,
Set pieces.
set pieces. Yeah, Spurs again dominated the game with the help of set pieces as well. Yeah,
So let's move on.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the Premier League standings right now as we head into the international break. Arsenal topping the league, played 7, won 6, except for the defeat
United.
at Old Trafford. And City played 7, won 5, and they're sitting in just 1 point off the league leaders, Arsenal, and followed by Tottenham. And surprisingly, Brighton are on fourth position, and that was a really big surprise, right? And for the fact that Potter has left after getting them into the top four is really good. And United, after their initial woes, they have turned the things around, turned the table around, and they are in the fifth spot. And Fulham in sixth, and Chelsea and Liverpool in seven and eight. Do you is what is more surprising here? Is it the fact that City is not on top, or is it the fact that Brighton is on fourth, or is it the fact that Chelsea and Liverpool are reeling right now in the outside of the top six?
So probably the most surprising thing for me is Liverpool at 8 and Fulham at 6. So again, these are the two things I never thought. Brighton coming in fourth for the timing is still understandable thing. Like you saw how they played and over the past 3 seasons. But yeah, Fulham at 6 is definitely surprising for me. Never saw that. Never thought about it. And Liverpool, as we all know, they have been struggling quite a lot. But again, I have some high hopes for them, and they'll be soon back in the top four. Is what I am feeling. So, what are your thoughts about those struggling teams and United as well? About United being
Yeah.
at fifth after those dreadful start to the season?
Yeah, so I think I predicted Liverpool to be on top of the table, and City to be second, and United to be fifth or sixth, I guess. Outside of the top four, I expected Arsenal and Tottenham to be there in 3 and 4 years. Yes, so and Chelsea also struggling so bad, and it's the same issues that they have right now, and it's about scoring goals, and also they have started to leak in defense as well. That saw Tuchel getting sacked. And for me, Liverpool will not win the title. That part I'm sure. They will be back into the top four. They have the quality. They have the manager. Uh, at the when Jota starts featuring regularly, we will be able to see a lot of movement in the front three, and with Thiago also coming back, Fabinho being there, what cost Liverpool was the fact that Milner had to play in midfield as well, and it exposed a lot of frailties in their lineup, and Alexander Arnold got exposed, Gomez got exposed in some of the matches, Matip was not there, so once they are in their full strength, I'm sure they'll get back into top four. The key for me is Jota here because only Diaz is performing up to the level which we expect of a front three of Liverpool. Salah is struggling. And someone like a Jota will free up Salah, and he will also get back into scoring form eventually. Chelsea, I'm not sure what is going to happen because I still don't trust the front four or the attacking players that they have right now. Potter is a great manager. I like him a lot, but moving forward, I don't trust those players. Sterling, Havertz, Aubameyang, Pulisic, CH. These kind of players. I don't know what to expect from them. I'm sure Chelsea fans are also very distressed with what they're seeing. Someone like a proper nine is still missing. Aubameyang is not that kind of a player, even though he had success at Barcelona. I don't see him having that much impact in the Premier League right now. Yeah, so that is it. And United for me is still in a rebuilding phase. It will take time. We'll see the odd defeats, but in Premier League we have won the last four matches, and that is pretty impressive after what we had to deal with initially. Yeah, and Dallo in right back is someone who I was very impressed with recently, who I criticized massively, and cover in the right back position is something which we will need because especially on this the Spider is not being chosen over Dalot, or he is not being fancied by Eric Ten Hag to play. And Malasia has been a real revelation as well, putting Shaw on the bench, and the centre back pairing has also been decent. I'm not really confident in them. They are celebrating every block, every tackle they put in, but I'm not still 100% confident with Varane or Martinez. We'll have to see how it goes. But moving forward to the strikers, Rashford, Sancho has also impressed, and this Anthony coming in has lifted the team as well. And now we'll have to see Ronaldo playing a bit more regularly. Martial is going to come
Still
back,
out.
and Ericsson has been such a spark in midfield. Bruno Fernandes finding his feet again. So, in all, a positive sign for United. We'll only keep moving upward. But once the likes of Liverpool starts hitting their stride, then top four is still difficult for me because Arsenal is playing some beautiful football, and it's really difficult to believe that they would be out of the top four. Spurs are finding ways to win, even if their performance aren't great. They find a way to grind out results, just like Conte team would do. And City deserves to be in the top two at least. And yeah, so it's going to be difficult for United to get into the top four, but I'm optimistic in the way that we have turned things around. Yeah, that is it.